Hello and welcome to this video on place value. Have you ever wondered where the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 come from? Throughout history, people haven't always used those digits. For example, the Romans used their own numerals. The decimal number system that we use today dates back to the 6th century in India, but it wasn't fully used in Europe until the 1200s, thanks to Leonardo of Pisa's book, Liber Abaci. He was also known as Fibonacci. 0 is really interesting too. The Babylonians were using 0 as a placeholder or to represent an absence of a value more than 3,000 years ago, but it was the Indians in 876 BCE who made it a number in its own right. This was really important because it paved the way for the idea of numbers less than 1 and negative numbers. The decimal point is even more recent. People did have different ways of separating the whole from the part of a number, but it was John Napier in 1619 who used the little dot that we know and love today. So all this has resulted in our decimal number system. In other words, we use 10 digits, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, to write any number that we want. The word decimal stems from the Latin word for the number 10, decan. So you can see here the place value table, and this is really, really important. If you can get your head around this, that would be great. So what does this mean? Well, in our place value table, the highest digit that you can get in each column is 9. If you go one more than that, it goes into the next column and becomes 10, like I've got in the example here. And the decimal point, as I've already referred to, separates the whole from the part. So for example, if we had 1.5, this is 1 whole 1 and 0.5, or half in this case. So you've got the whole part of the number and the part that is less than 1 whole. Let's look at some examples of writing the place value of a given digit. So let's look at the place value of the underlined digit. So here I've got the number 349 in part A. So how do we figure out what the place value is of the underlined digit? Well, I strongly recommend that you look at your place value grid. So you've got the number 349, and it always helps actually to say the number as well. So the fact that I said 349 is a giveaway that the place value of the 3 is 300s. But just let's have a look at how that looks in the place value grid. And what I recommend is when you're doing this is that you actually start with where you know. So here I'm going to put the 9 in here first. You might be tempted to start with the 3. But actually, when you're trying to figure out the place value of each digit, it's kind of better to work backwards, because I know that this is in the units column, especially when you come to some big numbers like this. It's better to start in the units column. So use the units column, or in some cases the decimal point, as your reference. So I'm going to work backwards. So 9, 4, 3, 349, and I can see that the 3 is in my hundreds column here. So the 3 is in the hundreds column, so I say that the place value of that digit is 300. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So B, I'm going to say the number first, 1552. Let's put it in the place value table, let's work backwards. So I've got my 2, 5, 5, 1. What's the place value of the number 2? It is 2 units, also referred to as ones. I'm just going to say 2 units in this video. Okay, now we've got a decimal point that we can use as our reference. So I've got a 4 on this side of the decimal point and an 8 on that side of the decimal point. And the underlined digit is the 8. So what is the 8? Well, it's 8 tenths. It's really important you pay attention to that, those THS on the end there. It's on the end of each of these actually that you can see here, and we're going to refer to those in a little while. So we've got 8 tenths here, and I've highlighted there the THS. Very, very important. Okay, what about this next number? Well, let's put it in the place value table. So I'm going to start with the 8 because there's lots of digits here. So I'm going to start with the 8 because I know the 8 is in the units column, and then I'm going to work this way. So 2, and then 9, and then a 5 here, and a 3 here. So now I think I can actually say this. This is 35,928. And the 5 is underlined. So this is in the thousands column. So this is 5,000. The next one, even more digits now. So let's start with the 0, and there's no decimal point there in that one, so that 0 must be in the units column. So 0, then I've got a 7, then I've got a 2, a 1, a 6, a 5, and a 1. And the 1 is underlined. So what column is the 1 in? Well, it is in the millions column. So that is just 1 million. Let's have a look at the next one. We've got 80.05. So the decimal point is there. So I'm going to put the digits around it. Got the 0 there, the 8 there. And then a 0 here and a 5 here. And the underlined digit is the 5, and it is in the hundredths column, the hundredths column. So again, really important that you remember that's got a THS on the end. Okay, what about this next one? Got no decimal point, so therefore that must be in the units column. So 0, 0, 0, 5, 4. So I can see that this is 45,000, and the underlined digit is the 4. What's the place value of that? Okay, well this column is called the 10,000s. So we actually say that this is 40,000. Okay, if we said this number as it is, it's 45,000, but we'd say that the place value of that digit therefore is 40,000, written like this. Okay, this one is 928.9, so I've got the 9 on that side of the decimal point, the 8 here, the 2 here, and the 9 here. And it's the 2 that is underlined, so that is 2 tens, or you can actually just say 20. 2 tens or 20 is fine. Okay, what about this one? We've got 12.5071. Okay, so around the decimal point, I can see I've got 5 here, I've got a 2 here, so the 1 goes there, 5071. And just because my place value table stops there doesn't mean there aren't columns to the right of it going this way. There absolutely are columns going that way, and there's absolutely columns going that way as well. So just because my place value stops, my place value table stops, the columns of course do exist in both directions. So the 7 is underlined, so what is the place value of the 7? It is thousandths, so 7 thousandths. Again, be really careful, remember for those THS's on the end. And the final example here, we've got a lot of digits going on here, so there's my reference point, there's my decimal points. So I'm going to put the 3 here, and I'm going to work backwards. So the 5 is here, the 4 is here, 0, 9, 2, 3. Okay, so that is 329,045.9. 0.33. And it's the 3 that's underlined, so it is 300,000. Okay, some further examples now of writing numbers in digits. So actually going to write them out now. Okay, so A says 7 units. So I'm literally going to put 7 in the units column. And that is all it would be. 7 units just appears like that. 3 tens. Well, if I've got 3 tens, I'm going to be putting a 3 in the tens column. But of course you don't see it like that. You would put a 0 there, and 3 tens is the same as saying 30. Okay, C, 5 hundreds. So I'm going to put 5 in the hundreds column. But of course, to finish off this number, you would put zeros in here to hold a place value. So 5 hundreds. 500. Part D, it says 2 tenths. It's got those important THS's on the end. So 2 tenths goes here, but in a similar way that we had to put a 0 here and a 0 here to kind of finish off the number, with this, we don't just leave it like that, you've got to put a 0 at the front like that, 0.2. 2 tenths is 0.2. Part E, 4 million. So you've got to put a 4 in here, but of course it can't just float on its own there. It's got to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. So 4 million is 4, followed by 6 zeros. Part F, 5 hundredths. So 5 hundredths, got to pay attention to that THS again. So the 5 is going to go in the hundredths column, but to finish off that number, I've got to put a 0 there and a 0 there. So it appears as 0.05. Part G, 82 hundredths. Now, you might think, well, 82 hundredths, does it look like this? Well, no, because we can't have 2 digits in the same column. 82 hundredths, we actually write like this. So 82 hundredths is like this. And you put your 0 there. So 0.82. H, 24,000. Okay, well again, you can't put the 24 in here, even though you might be tempted to because it says 24,000. You've actually got to put it like this. 24,000. So 24 followed by 3 zeros. Part I, 700,000. 700,000. So because we're talking in terms of hundred thousands, this is actually where I'm going to put, well, you think it would be here, but you've got to separate out the digits. You can't put them all in here, like 700 there. It is 700,000, like this. So think about it as writing 700 like this, and then your 3 zeros for the thousands. 700,000. Part J, 4 thousandths. So I'm going to put 4 here, but I've got to finish the number off. I've actually got to put 0.004. That is how I write 4 thousandths. Okay, 37 thousandths. So again, you can't do this, even though you might be tempted to. 37 thousandths is like this. 0.037. L, 90,000. 90,000. So 90 followed by your 3 zeros. 90,000, think about it as 9 tens. 9 tens is 90, and then 1,000. So 90 followed by your 3 zeros. 90,000. M, nice and straightforward. 6,000. So you're going to put a 6 in on this occasion in the thousands column. 6,000 goes there, so it's just 6 followed by your 3 zeros. 6,000. And finally, part N, 7.5. So if you were listening in the first part of the video, you might know how to write this. So 7.5, I've just thrown this one in here because I've put one in the questions that you're going to have a go at on the next page. And I will talk more about why this is the case in other videos converting between decimals and fractions. But 7.5 is 7.5. 7.5. Okay, so here are a couple for you to have a go at yourself. So pause the video now, keep them on the screen, have a go at writing down the place value of the underlined digits in question 1 and writing out the numbers using digits in question 2. So make sure you use the place value table here and the keywords here to make sure your spellings are nice and accurate. Okay, good luck with that. Pause the video now and have a go at them, and then resume the video to see the answers. And here are the answers. Well done for having a go at those.